Okay, so today we're going to talk about molecular nomenclature. Molecular nomenclature is slightly different from ionic nomenclature, but it is a little bit easier of a system than ionic naming. There's not a lot of different things that can happen here. The system that we're going to be using for naming molecules or molecular compounds is called the prefix system, which will make more sense as we go through some examples here. So the rules for naming molecular compounds. Number one, if the first element in the compound only has one atom, we do not add a prefix to the name. And if there is more than one, then we do. So in the prefix system, we use prefixes to indicate the relative number of each type of atom in the compound, which is something that we did not do for ionic compounds. So in this first example, CF4, we're looking at the first element here, which is carbon, and there is only one of them, and so we're not going to use a prefix to indicate that there's one carbon, and we just write the word carbon for that. Notice, too, that there is no change to the end of the name. That is one similarity to ionic compounds. When we had things like sodium chloride, the Na came first. We didn't change anything to its name. Here, we're not going to change the ending either, so it's just carbon. In the second example, the first element is nitrogen, and there's two of those. So now we do want to use a prefix. At the bottom of the page here, you'll see a list of prefix names for numbers. And for two, it's di, D-I. So we're going to write di-nitrogen. That di means then when we read the name di-nitrogen, we know that the first element, there are two nitrogens in that compound. The second rule is that we always add a prefix to the second element in the compound. So if we bring down what we just wrote for carbon, and then dinitrogen, we can then take a look at the second elements, which in this case we have F4 and O3. So we always use a prefix. So in this case, we have 4 fluorines, and the prefix for 4 is tetra. And so I'm going to just leave it at that for now, what the prefix is. And on the next one, we have oxygen. There's 3 of them, and so the prefix for 3 is tri, T-R-I, and I'll just leave it at that. So the first element in the compound only gets a prefix if there's more than one. The second element always gets a prefix. Now for rule number 3, just like in ionic naming, so here's one other small similarity. We're talking binary molecular compounds, just like when we had binary ionic compounds. The second element here always ends with IDE. So if we want to finish off the name for CF4, again, we have carbon, no prefix because there's only one of them. We have dinitrogen because there's 2 nitrogens. The second element, we have a prefix. This time it is tetra. For the fluorine, we have tri over here for the oxygen. And then the last part of this then is to put in the name of the element, changing the ending to IDE. So we're going to have carbon tetra fluoride and dinitrogen trioxide. Okay. So I've got each part of the name in different colors there so that we can see each of the 3 rules in play. The prefixes, a lot of them go along with the prefixes used for geometric shapes. But for 1, we have mono, 2 is di, 3 tri, 4 tetra, 5 penta like pentagon, 6 hexa, 7 hepta, 8 octa, 9 nona, and 10 deca. So we put those prefixes in front of the elements. Again, only if there's more than one for the first element in our binary molecular compound. For the second one, we always do. The last rule that can happen is if the element name starts with a vowel, then we drop the A or O from the prefix name. Okay, so we would never say monoxide if we had 1 oxygen atom. We would say monoxide, so M-O-N-O-X-I-D-E. Okay. Or if we had 4 oxygens, we wouldn't say tetraoxide, it would be tetroxide. So we drop the A from the prefix name. We'll do a couple of examples here quick. So let's try this one here, P4O10. The P, of course, is phosphorus. But this time we see that there is a 4 on there. So we do have to start with a prefix, and the prefix for 4 is tetra, so this would be tetraphosphorus. And then the O part, we have oxygen, so we can use oxide, but the prefix for 10 is deca. But again, oxygen starts with a vowel, so we're not going to put deca oxide, we're going to put dec oxide. Oh, spell it right here. And do one more example, then we'll try a couple of names here. How about N2O5? So 2 nitrogens, we saw that one before, dinitrogen. So 2 nitrogen, now we have 5 oxygens. The prefix for 5 is penta. Again, oxygen starts with an O, so we're going to drop the A from that. So instead of pentaoxide, it's going to be pent oxide. So a couple more examples there going from formula to name. Okay, we'll do 2 examples of name to formula, and then you'll have time to work on your assignment for Monday. So let's try, speaking of try nitrogen. Let's go try nitrogen. No. Sorry. I'm not making these up on the fly. Okay, so it's nitrogen triiodide. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so the first one, we have nitrogen. There's no prefix, which means we only have 1 nitrogen. And then we have triiodide. Iodide, that means we have iodine. And the tri means that there are 3 of them. Okay, so yeah, right there, no prefix, there's only 1 of them. Okay, and we'll do one more here. We'll go with once again, thinking ahead of myself here. Dihydrogen monoxide. There we go. Dinitrogen, hydrogen, dihydrogen. So we got hydrogen. There are 2 of them. Di, prefix is 2, hydrogen. And then we have monoxide. So oxide is O. The mon prefix means that there's only 1 of them, and what do you know? We have the prefix name for water. H2O is water. Water is what would be called its common name, but this is its chemical name, at least using the prefix system. Okay, literally that is it for molecular nomenclature. We use the prefix system. Again, as far as the naming rules are concerned, first element, we just use its name. It only gets a prefix if there's more than 1. The second element always gets a prefix. The ending changes to IDE. And then when we're going from names to formulas, the names to formulas is really nice because we can see what the 2 elements are going to be. With the prefixes, we know exactly how many there are. There's no figuring out charges and balancing them because it's a different system from ionic compounds. Okay, so now if you need to, you can go back, rewatch anything that you need to. Otherwise, you've got your notes. You can pick up the assignment. It is due on Monday.